Okay, this is King of the Hill Frame Cow A5 by Flanker. It's King of the Hill. It has some issues where I'm sorry about my bird in the background, but
Yeah.
the main routine of players seem to be to run up to the point, take it, and then run across into the house, and then never touch the point again. And then once they left the point, the other team would just come on and then capture the point, and then run into the house um, and then control the one-way door sections of the map, because that's where all the players came out of.
Yeah, we feel like the reason why that's happening is that there is very little incentive to stay on and around the point. There's a small health kit, which is nice, but it's only a small one, and you have a height disadvantage when in comparison to the house, and then you also really there's a massive lack of cover. So it's pretty much the only way of being sniped on this map is because you decided to stand on the point. And that really brings up another issue, is that snipers have a real difficulty operating on this map because there are very, very few decent sniping locations. The two real ones being the far opposite sides of the map, and even then they can only just about see the point and nothing else.
An interesting idea to add more sniper space into the middle of the map, and to also clean up the quote main route of the map, because we've noticed from the control point arrows that lead from the bottom area of spawn into the middle. I guess this is what you consider to be the main route, is these control point little alleyways. At the moment, it's not an intriguing route. If I was walking down here, I wouldn't go out this building because it's so enclosed and up right next to the point that you would die if there was a demo man on the point. So I wouldn't do that. So that's one issue, is that you should open up this bottom route a bit. You can either just open up, like literally just open up the size of the doorway. That could fix it, but an interesting idea, an alternative is to raise it up a bit and put like a balcony up there, and that would also give an easier spot for snipers to stand and see into the mid. And then what goes hand in hand with that is that on the middle room, there is like 4 windows that peer down onto the point. That entire top room, if you just cut away the 4 windows and the walls next to it up into the beams, and you just made it like a balcony that looks over top of the point, then like what we were talking about was that possibly you were trying to lead players away from those windows because they are pretty overpowered onto the point with the ammo packs and stuff way back there. But if you took out all of the walls protecting it, then it wouldn't be an overpowered point, because not only would the sniper balconies be able to counter it, but even the people just on the point would be able to easily counter it and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting idea, yeah.
Yeah, if you remove the walls, it would also be possible for both for attacking soldiers and demo men to jump up there from both teams, which I think would make a really interesting dynamic, and basically give another way of entering this building, especially the top level of this building, that's not going through the already easily choke pointy staircase area.
Yeah, and I think just with that, I think a few people were confused how to get up to the top spot, because even just while describing the top spot, I was going in my head, how do I get up there? Just because if you're in the middle, the only way up to get there from the middle is to go outside and up these ramps that you can't see from the middle.
I kind of like the idea. I think maybe you just need to telegraph that's how you do it a little better.
Yeah, that could work.
I guess probably, but I don't really know how you do that. Maybe like cut away little bit more of the wall so that you can kind of almost see the ramp up when you're inside.
Yeah, and speaking of the middle room, what we noticed was that there's like the grounds of the room under the 4 windows, and it's like 3 times as thick as the platforms going over to it, and it's just unnatural looking, and we don't really know why you did it, because like if you made it the normal sized floor, it doesn't seemingly change the dynamic of the room. Like there's no harm in doing it, it seems, unless you have done it beforehand and that's why you've shrunken it or expanded it.
I think
I don't know.
Another reason why you'd want to move it up a bit, and also there's a couple of problems. This is a couple of problems with some of the lower routes. Is that if you jump and whilst you're underneath, you will bang your head, which is a bit awkward. I think the general rule of thumb is that doorways and passages should be around about 192 units high, which is obviously a little bit higher than they are wide, and that's exactly to solve the issue of hitting your head when you jump.
Yeah, that would be good.
So this one-way door coming out of the closest side of spawn, the right side for red team, we're in a little bit of disagreement about it. We think the reason why you decided to implement a one-way door is to stop players from spawn camping, simply because they just can't pass through it. However, what we found is that, especially because the spawn was so close, which we'll get onto the position of the spawn in a second, but what happened is that players would walk through the door and they'd immediately enter a battle with the attacking team who controls the point, and they wouldn't be able to escape because the door had locked on the way behind them. And we think maybe that's why you added this very peculiarly shaped drop down, which is simultaneously like far too thin, and it's got a really weird hole at the bottom. And it, like I've just noticed, it doesn't even properly connect with the floor. It's got a little step up for some reason, and I think maybe that was your reasoning for adding this drop down. But I don't think I think it looks bad, and I think that if you were to do a couple of suggestions, we've each got an idea or two about how it should be done, but you could remove that if you found a way of just sorting out this area. My personal favourite idea would be to make this a team-only door, so that only the defending team could open it. That would give them a way of getting out. I mean, there is a slight possibility that the attackers could kind of muscle their way in whilst someone else had the door open, but that's only as much of a danger as it is on like second point Badwater, for example. It's very rare that you get anything more than a spy getting through that door. Meanwhile, Backscratch, you had your own idea about maybe turning it into a ledge?
Yeah, like either lowering the room and added a ledge where the door is, or making the door higher up and then added a ledge there. Then removing this drop down route, because I know it'll just give like some classes like an easy way to get out. But yeah.
Yeah, my idea for the one-way door area was, if you wanted to keep the one-way door and the drop-down, I agree with Rubbish that simplifying the geometry of the drop-downs just so it looks better, because it does look a bit blech at the moment, but if you did that and then also simplified the geometry on the way back to the spawn room, that would also be good, because while playing, and I did want to retreat from that room, I used the drop-down, but then once you get back to the original spawn area with the concrete floor and the dirt rock stuff, you have to like stop and think about, oh, what's the shortest route up there, and you have to use this backwards ramp, and it's a bit awkward and it takes a moment. So I think if you move the ramp so that it's right in front of me, that I could walk up, then that would be cool too. Like, you can keep all those elements, and yeah, it'd be cool. So something sort of relevant to this that we wanted to talk about was, if you moved this spawn in between halfway where it is now and this hole where I assume the spawn room was before, I don't know if that's just a random hole that you have. If you moved it halfway between the 2 points, then it would signify that the route with the light dirt ground would be more of the main route, so that less people are attracted to the one-way door. Like, so it's kind of half and half, because not many people even use this far route, and I thought it was the main route for a while before noticing the signs.
Yeah, we were just discussing this a bit beforehand. We don't quite understand your thought process, but it seems like when designing this map, you've been very, very, very cautious about spawn camping, and all of these fences as protecting spawn as well. But given how many things you've already got in place, the small doorways, or even like one-way doorways, and the height advantage from spawn compared to like the areas immediately outside of it, we feel like it's almost the spawn is almost too well protected, to the point where if any players actually wanted to retreat to get to the resupply and get some more health, it is so far away as to be infuriatingly inconvenient, because of all these ramps you have to walk up, and you've got to avoid these fences as well.
Yeah, so if you did just move it halfway over there, then that also kind of works with simplifying the geometry of the ramps going up to the spawn, because you would only have to do like a minor change of shifting this ramp next to the control point sign, so that someone coming from the drop down only has like a simple walk up this ramp and then back there at spawn, instead of having to decide in their brain beforehand.
Really, I think when designing the spawn area, you should be inspired by Viaduct. If you think back to Viaduct, it has an extremely simple spawn layout. It is just a room with, I think, 2 doors leading to the outside world, and then the outside world itself is just a flat rectangle with the 3 exits going left, right, and middle. And it's rare that you ever end up with spawn camping on Viaduct, so I mean that gives you an idea of that really it's not that much of an issue, and you shouldn't have to worry about it quite so much as you seemingly do here.
Yeah, with the pit that you've created in front of it, and all the giant fence walls and stuff.
Another note, again, we don't quite understand your thought processes, but another reason why we think maybe you should move the spawn room to the middle is that at the moment the shortest way towards anything is to go through this right-hand route. And I mean, I guess maybe it's a conscious decision, and I guess maybe you are pushing for people to go through the house. And maybe even in earlier iterations it was moved to the middle and you've decided against it for whatever reason. But I'm personally of the opinion that you should move it closer to the middle so that people are encouraged to take the other side routes a bit more seriously.
Yeah, so overall it seems a bit misguided in the direction, not only for development of the map, but also just player judgments. Like I was mentioning, like there's a few times where you have to stop and think about how do I get over there, and then you have to just kind of pick a route and go with it. Like from the point and looking up through the 4 windows up into the main room, like how do I get up there? And as I shoot sticky bombs up there, I just remember talking about the overall discussion now, the conclusion of the conclusion. Another thing that we noticed was that you can shoot over every single building in the map You should put block bullet over top of that so someone can't just stay at their spawn and shoot the midpoint with sticky bombs. Anyway, back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh, player choice. Yeah. So, just making it easier for players to realize where things connect to. Just simplifying the geometries, just so it's not weird, like the drop down and the routes back to spawn, and this outward ramp going up to the top of mid, and then the 4 windows and stuff. Maybe not the 4 windows, but just that room, like we explained before.
And another idea on the topic of player choice. This is something that we're not really certain about, because you have got one of the things this map probably does do well is the amount of health, especially on the kind of point side area. I think it's well placed, but a lot of the King of the Hill maps with a bridge-like idea have a small or medium health kit underneath the bridge. So I don't know whether that's something you've considered, but maybe you want to try it out, or maybe you want to consider replacing one of the small health kits and moving it into the middle.
I would say I agree that it would entice people to go down there more, especially because when you're on the point, you don't want to step down there because it's a death area. But I actually prefer the health placement as it is now than to moving one down there and replacing the small health packs where they are already.
Yeah, I mean, it's really your own judgment. Or if you don't like leaving it up to your own judgment, you could always just put it in a copy and test it on one of the game days.
Mm-hmm.
See whether you like it or not.
We have secured the control point. Alert. Our control point is being captured. We have captured the control point.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.